morning and welcome back to Wood and Stuff. Today we're going to make my double star Burr puzzle. And let's skip the chit chat and get right to it. This video expands upon the ideas and concepts introduced in these two videos. As I've shown you in this video, there are actually two ways to create a Burr puzzle that looks exactly like this. One way is the way I've already explained, and that is with 6 pieces that each have 2 notches cut out. And each piece is identical. Now, the second way of doing it, which ends up looking the exact same when they're assembled, but it involves a key piece. So you find the key, and it's got to come out first. The key is a solid block with no notches. Then you have 2 pieces which are the exact same as the others, only it has an extra 3rd notch. So you have 2 of those pieces, and then the final 3 pieces are the exact same as those that comprise the original Burr. So to create the 10-piece double Burr, which by the way is my own idea and design, we are going to employ the workings of both the original Burr I explained and this second variation. And so we'll have a puzzle that has got a key with no notches, 2 pieces with the 3rd notch, and a piece that's the exact same as the other Burr. And then what we're left with is the original Burr that I've explained already, with the 6 identical pieces. Only 2 of them are extra long and have an extra pair of notches. So let's get to it. Alright, if you recall, each shorter piece is about 3.5 times as long as they are wide. Now, our stock is a bit rough on the exterior, and after our parts are cut and notched, there is very little room to sand it smooth and still have a puzzle that fits nicely together. So if your wood needs to be surfaced, now is definitely the time to do so. So I'm going to join the face, and I'll turn it a quarter turn so that face rides against the fence. Then I'll join a face that's adjacent to it, so we'll have 2 faces that are nice and clean and that are at 90 degrees to each other. Alright, I am going to run these with one of the jointed surfaces down on the table of the planer. Alright, almost there. Now to make our stock nice and square, I've got the uncut side up, alright? And so there's a jointed side against the blade and the planed side against the fence. I'll use that to set the fence distance right here. Okay, that's pretty good. There we go. Now I'll turn it so the unsurfaced side is now against the blade, so I can shave it off and our stock will be nice and square. They're all nice and square, and I can verify that easily by ensuring that they're level. And then give a piece a quarter turn, still nice and level. Give the next piece a quarter turn, still level. Next piece, and the last piece. All right, and they're all nice and square, so let's lay out our pieces. Well, the layout is done almost exactly as we did our 6-piece burr. Only instead of 6 pieces, there are 10, and there's a couple of variations. So let's start with the 7 short pieces of which are notched. And these 3 pieces we'll worry about later. Okay, so we need 7 pieces with 2 notches. Okay, and they're done exactly like the 6-piece burr. Okay, and the ones with the extra notch are going to start off just like the others. So what we're going to do, we're going to make sure our adjustable bevel is set to exactly 55 degrees. Okay. Now, even though the cuts end up being at 45 degrees with respect to our corner, the actual layout is at 55, okay? So, let's go ahead and start laying out 7 pieces with the 2 notches. I'm going to go ahead and just mark a line that's square across. That's where I'm going to work off of. Okay, now I'm going to leave a small amount of space there, so I'm going to figure about, let's make it 1/8. That way we can keep it consistent. So from that corner to the opposing edge, I'm going to draw a 55-degree angle. Then I'm going to draw one that meets up right there at the corner. And that's our first notch. Okay? Now I want to leave a real tiny gap there. Let's figure on about a 1/16, okay? Now, these puzzles scale up or down very well, but what does not scale is that small gap that I just left between the notches. It scales to a very minor degree, but I want to keep it about a 1/16. On a really large piece, I might make it 1/8, but most pieces that you're going to actually make ever, you're going to want to keep that about a 1/16. And that's 1 piece. So now I'm going to go ahead and reproduce that 6 more times. If you choose to, you can create a template, as I have done and I use on the smaller burrs. But keep in mind, though, that a template will only work for a given size stock. If your stock is even a little larger or a little smaller, your template will not work. Okay, and here's our 7 short notched pieces, all laid out and accounted for. Now we need our key. So we need one that has no notches, that's the same length as our shorter pieces. So I can use what's laid out here, get the line laid out, or the line lined up, mark it there, and there's our key. And finally, we need 2 pieces which have 4 notches instead of 2. And those are laid out exactly like the 2. And we leave the same gap there, there, and there. Okay? Now, it might seem that gap there is wider than a 1/16. It's not. It's only that way because the corner has been rounded off. But when it was still square, that still came to about a 1/16 inch gap there. So now I'm going to lay out our 2 longer pieces, each having 4 notches instead of 2. Small 1/16 inch gap, and an 1/8 inch on this end.